How's it? Welcome along to Baz's Garage, where we are still working on Billy Bob's backyard budget build. So, bit of progress over the last few days. You can see here that we have the steering wheel on, and we can wiggle waggle the steering wheel, and everything's working quite nicely. It's come together pretty good. It's all loose at the moment, so of course there's a bit of slop and play in it. So I'll show you what I did. I'll just pull this bolt out of here. So I made a round plate, drilled some holes that matched up with the holes for the steering, and then I was going to weld that straight onto the top of the shaft here, but I decided if I did that I couldn't pull it apart again, so I ended up on the lathe just making up a little piece that sits inside here. It's just tack welded at the moment. Drilled a hole, put a thread in it, so the bolt will go straight through here and bolt into there, and that means that we can remove the steering wheel, so that'll give us the ease of the steering wheel. So I'll just throw that over there now. Right, so I'm going to lift the mower up, and we'll get you to have a look underneath here. So all going well, we can just lift this up here without going too far. So now you can see what we've done in here. We've got the shaft through the bearings. We've got a small piece coming off here, which we've attached the heam joint to, and then we've got a long rod that comes up through here, and then it's attached to the front. So you can see the whole thing moving there, nice and smooth, moves nice and easily, and gives us good movement. Now, like I said before, we can change the lock by either grinding some more out of here, so it'll give us more lock. But at the moment, these are steering stops, which means that you can't go too far, which is quite a good safety feature as well. So that's worked out very simple. Now, what's going to happen is the motor's going to sit in here, and the pulley's actually going to be lower than the steering. So the pulley's going to sit on top of the steering, and it's all going to be all below. I can still adjust this up and down a bit if I need to, with the bearing joints that are on there. So I'll drop that back down again. And then you can see in here the bearings are a little bit better. So those two bearings that we had, we've just drilled and bolted them in there, and we can adjust with the grub screws the height of that, so it all works out quite nicely with the steering. So that's worked out really well. Pretty happy with that. Again, the basic part of using the heam joints for the steering at the front has become really simple, really easy. You do have to think about the lengths of these, because obviously if you get that wrong, it's going to be really hard to turn. But this one feels nice and easy to turn, and to get good steering feedback once we've got it all running with the weight and everything like that. So this is the motor that we're going to throw in it. So I've got some more bits and pieces. So this is the motor that's going to go onto it. So it's going to be a Class 1 mower, and if I'm feeling strong enough and had enough in it, so that should fit somewhere in there, and that will bolt on there. So that's the motor that we're going to put on it. Quite cool, because it's got the tank on the side and a pull start, which means that if we hit a flat battery we can still start it. We're going to pull this engine apart. This is a 28 flathead. Okay, so it's a 28 cubic inch flathead. Forget about the horsepower, it doesn't mean anything. 28 horsepower flathead. So hopefully the focus will pick up on that. So the first two numbers on there basically show you what the size of the engine is, and it doesn't want to focus, so we'll just trust me when I say 28 is the number that we were looking for. So it's a 28 cubic inch flathead. Now we're going to pull it apart, and we'll do that in another video. We're going to pull it apart. We're going to maybe look if the rings need doing, take the governor out, have a check inside, make sure there's nothing untoward going inside there, so that once we put it together we don't have to worry about it again. So that's the engine that's going onto it. Over here I've got another box of bits and pieces which I've been kindly got for. Now we've got the seat. So we did have another seat on it before, but this is actually the John Deere seat, which is kind of cool, so that fits with that. So we'll adjust this and make it fit in there so that we can get the height and the angle all worked out so it's comfortable. So that's going to go on there. We have a couple of options of brakes here. Now, personal choice, go for the ones with the twin pistons. You get slightly more braking pressure. These are just pit bike ones. They're not very expensive to buy. Bring them in from AliExpress, Wish, whatever. You can get them on Trade Me as well. So we're going to use one of those two calipers. Not sure which one yet. That will go on the disc that we've already got. So that's the caliper sorted. We've got the brake master cylinder here, which will work out where that's going to go with the brake pedal. Billy Bob wants foot brakes. Personally on my mower I've got brakes on the steering wheel, but that's fine, that's my preference. We're going to put these as a foot brake, and we'll put them on. Again, not sure even which side we're going to put them on yet, so we'll just see. Usually the clutch on the left, brake on the right, so we'll see how we go with that. What else have we got in here? We've got we've got a starter switch. Cheap little starter switch. So this is going to be the switch that we're going to use for starting the mower. So that will obviously go onto the dashboard. We have a solenoid here. So the solenoid is going to come from the battery through to the starter motor, and that's the solenoid, and we'll wire that up to go through the starter switch. So when you press the button, it will work. So that's there. So the prices for all this stuff we'll put in the comments, and we'll add up to the prices. We have a couple of springs here. So a couple of these springs, now this is to go onto the accelerator, so that we have the twin accelerator springs on there, which will stop the accelerator from taking off when you're going down the track, which won't be much fun. We've also got a fuel pump. So we've got a fuel pump here, a vacuum fuel pump, which we may or may not need. We probably will need, because the tank's quite low, we might not get enough fuel flow. We're thinking about putting a different carburetor on it, so we might have to change that. So we do have a fuel pump if we need it. We have the accelerator part, which is we'll work out how we're going to fit that on here somewhere so that you can use the hand throttle. Again, prefer the hand throttle, so we've got hand throttle to go on there. In this one here. So in this packet here, we have the kill switch, which is you've got to have. So that's your tether, which we'll wire in through the ignition system, so that when you remove that, basically the motor will stop, which is a safety thing we have to have. So we've got one of those. What other things have we got here? Oh yeah, we've got the accelerator cable inner and outer. So we can make our own accelerator cable that will come from there through and onto the carburetor that we're going to use on there. We may end up putting a different carburetor on there, we're not sure yet. We've got the two pulleys. So at the moment, these are the two pulleys we've got. This one is going to go on the front. It's about 100mm. So that'll be on the front, and then this one here goes on to the back with a right angle drive. So this is about a 200, and it's got a 7/8 bush kit on it. So 7/8 is the size of the right angle drive, not metric, it's imperial. So that's 7/8. And the front one, I think from memory, is 1 inch, but don't quote me on that. I think the one coming off the bottom of here is 1 inch. Lucky I've got my safety shoes on. Put that there, good to go. What else have we got in the box here? Yes, so that's the rest of the boss kit that goes with the rear pulley. And then we're going to put a clutch in it. So originally we thought maybe about a centrifugal clutch, but the cost of those is getting up, and yeah, not a big fan of them myself. So we're going to go for this kind of clutch. Now the way that this clutch works is we have the two pulleys. We have a flat one and a V'd one, and those two pulleys, when you put them together, they look something like this. You've got a pivot in the centre, and I'll just grab a belt to show you what that looks like, because I've probably got a spare belt hanging up somewhere over here. So the idea is we get the belt, and the belt comes off the engine, through here, and around here, and then as you move it, it tensions the belt. Gives you a nice smooth engagement and gives you good tension on the belt. You've got to get the right belt size, and you want to make sure these pulleys are not too small as well, because if you try and bend the belt back the other way, it'll crack when it's hot, and you've got to buy a new belt. So the belts that I run on my current mower, they'll last me a year or more. I never really have to change them. I look at them sometimes and I go, oh yeah, they'll do a bit longer. So I don't change the belts, and I just run the standard B section belts. And yeah, you can spend lots of money on belts, but I personally have not had an issue with running the B-size black belts. Once you get it sorted and it's all aligned, they last pretty well. So we've got a whole lot of bits and pieces that we've got here. I don't know if there's anything else in the box. No, the box is fully empty, so that's enough for us to go along with a little while. Yeah, I think we've got a fair bit of work to do now. I just thought I'd give you a little update as to all the fun bits that I've got to now fit on there. So we'll spend a little bit of time getting it sorted. Before I go, I just suddenly thought of one little thing that I didn't mention last time. We were talking about fun tools to have. This fun tool here is a deburring tool. Now the beauty of this is when you drill a hole, you stick this in the hole, and I probably haven't got a piece of something here. Okay, so if you have a hole in the centre like this, you grab your bearing tool, you stick it in here, and you go like this around there, and it takes the edge off it. Instead of getting the big drill bit, this is awesome for that. Also, if you cut some steel out, you can run it around and it clears it out. So that's a deburring tool. They come with interchangeable pieces on the end here in different shapes. Really awesome. Great for cleaning out your drill bits, drill holes. So, the other cool thing that we had a bit of a play with while we had the cutter here was we had to go up making a gecko. So this was my attempt at a gecko. The feet are a little bit funny, but I think we'll put that up somewhere and we'll call it Rooster Gecko. Oh no, Bob the Gecko. Of course, Billy Bob the Gecko. Bob the Gecko will go up there. The other really cool thing to remember is to have a book. Really important book. It's called Shit I Need to Remember. Given to me by Belinda, and in there is all the shit I need to remember. So put your belt sizes, put your seal sizes, put your specifications for your pulleys, so you've got them all written away, saved somewhere, so when you have to remember, you can just bring them out of that book. So that's enough tips for today. That's Baz's Garage for another time, and we'll see you next time.